are live, Chair.
Chair, remember, you are correct in that. However, the applicant withdrew their case to come back before, so there wasn't a motion or a postponement to a date certain. Since they withdrew, then they're just coming back as a new case being heard as it is being made. Mr. Chair, moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried. Next item is minutes, of which we have none as far as I know. Correct. We don't have minutes this month, but we will for the July. Matters from the floor. 4 people here and there. Bring up to advance with the actual cases. All right, hearing nothing. Previously, we'll move on to new business. Case number 2025-1067. Dr. James Gallison, applicant, requests approval for listing as an archaeologist for the historic downtown archaeological review district in the city of San Diego. List of approved archaeologists and historians.
Chair, no, there are no changes.
Hey all, I don't know. Hi, I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I can't hear or see you.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. One moment.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to call, and then I had a matter on matters from the floor, but I think it sounds like we're past that.
Okay, we can go back. Hold on, let's see if we can get this fixed for us.
I can hear you better, but I don't know if I can hear everybody else in the room.
Can you hear
We,
us?
we can hear you clearly.
So on the sound. Not real tech. Shoot.
Yeah, it's on Real Tech.
Let me see. Oh, see.
Nicole, can you hear us better now?
I can hear you fine. I'm not sure if I could hear somebody from across the room or not. It's pretty muffly. I think that was David Eck's voice, but also the screen is totally black.
They both spoke at the same time.
I can put them on.
I'm getting texts from other people too that say they can't see you guys either.
Okay, thank you.
And that they can hear me clearly, but not you guys.
We've actually been doing quite well these past months.
That's looking better for a second. That looked.
Just see if we can use my phone to stop that. What do I do? Can you come out here?
Yes, ma'am.
Recording in progress.
Nicole, this is Heather.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yes. Just have to mute that one. We're figuring out the technology with my phone. Okay, I don't think there's any feedback there. Now? Okay. Let's go for it.
One last test. Did I come through loud and clear?
Yes, I can hear you very clear now.
Well, so we have the applicant online. Hopefully the applicant can hear us and can be allowed to talk. They only need to be identified and sworn in.
Mr. Gallison, can you hear us?
You
Dr.
can
Gallison?
unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah, sorry, he can hear you. We're going to a quieter place.
Okay, so Dr. Gallison, you'll have to be sworn. You can state your name and address for the record.
My name is James Gallison.
And your address?
726 Jefferson Street, Northeast, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalties of perjury?
I do.
It's been sworn into.
Dr. Gallison, the floor is yours. If there's anything you feel you need to add to the application materials already submitted.
No, thank you. I appreciate being invited to this presentation and an opportunity to answer any questions you may have for me.
Thank you, sir. Committee, Member Treese.
No questions.
Member Pierce.
Well, I usually rely on member one to do the math for me, but based on a chart of experience, I get roughly 8 months of experience in the historic downtown, which I think 95% of that is George O'Keefe, but that's a pretty good introduction, I think. I'm trying to remember what threshold we usually hold people to. 6 months specific historic downtown?
6 months typically is the threshold.
Then if we're going to be consistent, then I think we're in good shape here. So no questions ever.
Member Beck.
Same.
Thank you. I had the same question as Member Pierce.
Courtney will have to do it. Make us a chart.
How was it spending 7 months in a giant hole in downtown Santa Fe?
In the winter, no less.
Tell us about it.
Well, I suggest that you really don't want to do that during the winter months. Santa Fe is a beautiful city. I love the scenery. It's a wonderful area to be working, but there were a few days when it was quite chilly. So there were a few days where we were, I think, scraping ice instead of dirt.
Time in Alaska.
No jet engines to thaw it out. I have one question for you, and it doesn't have anything to do with your application materials. It just has to do with your observations on the location. We were offered an opportunity to make a tour of the project a couple weeks ago. And whilst we were making that tour, an interesting object was seen in a profile on the eastern side of the construction area. And when our tour guide poked a finger at it, it fell out of the profile. Turns out it's not what we thought it was. Have you seen that object, and can you enlighten us onto the geoarchaeology of that edge of the project area?
Gosh, I'm not really sure what you're referring to, but I do know that when we were doing the excavations along the eastern edge of the foundation, we had encountered a bone bed. So there were a number of bone elements of bison and various domestic animals. I'm not sure what artifact you're referring to.
Well, I don't know what the heck it is. I don't know what to call it. It looks a lot like a ear spool or a lip spool. It's shaped oddly like an electrical insulator, but it's, I think, Spanish colonial. I think it has a glaze reminiscent of.
Yeah, it has ground glaze.
The glaze from Mexico, and I was just hoping that maybe you had seen that and could offer some insight into the context from which it came.
Gosh, I'm sorry, I don't recall that item. Was I there present when we poked that out of the wall, or I just don't remember the event.
This is, I think, after you were no longer present. This is just a couple of weeks ago. So, fine.
Well, we can update next.
We'll get an update next time.
So there's some homework for us to do.
Okay. Yeah, well, you piqued my interest because everything that came out of those various units were fascinating. I think that what the information we gained from the work we did there is going to be a significant contribution to the quest to try to understand the Spanish colonial occupation of the area as well as the later occupations.
All right, cool. No more questions. Someone want to draft a motion?
Yeah, the chair, I move that in case 1067, we approve Dr. James Gallison for listing as an archaeologist in the historic downtown district.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Chair, if I may, because we did miss matters from the floor, is it possible that we can go back to that before we finish new business?
I'm perfectly willing to go back to matters from the floor.
Okay, thank you. And I have Ms. Paul Thomas with matters from the floor. Nicole, you may unmute.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair Eck and committee members. Just quickly, I wanted to let you know, and you may have already heard this, that the stone bridge near Shelby Street, the Shelby Street footbridge that crosses the Santa Fe River, will soon be going to the Historic Districts Review Board for a historic status review, a request for demolition, and design for replacement. And I don't see any archaeological concerns, but I wanted to, one, make you aware of it, and two, see if you had any comment or anything like that.
Can we see the design?
You can see the design. Heather, it doesn't matter if I show the design, the mock-ups now, do I? The renderings?
Sure, feel free to go ahead and do that.
Can I, how would I share them?
I can invite you to share.
Okay.
Just do multiple.
You may try now, Nicole.
Okay, hang on one moment. I just don't even see a share button. You might have to promote me. Oh, there I am, joined as panelist. Okay, good.
There you go.
Hi, okay, thanks. And then give me just 1 second and let me open this up. Okay. One moment here. Okay.
Got the-
Okay, I don't.
Maybe it's should be.
Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You might want to make it a little larger for our young guys.
Is that better or
There,
bigger? Or bigger?
nicer.
Okay. So this is Appendix A for the design review packet, and it just kind of shows the existing layout of the bridge, and that orientation won't really change. And the reason that there's a request for demolition, and I can show you those pictures, is that the bridge is just irreparable. It's in such bad shape. And if you've walked by there, you can see the hole in the middle of the deck. So this is the existing design, and then you can see here the orientation is the same. Now, there's two designs that will be presented to the H board, and one of them is this kind of prefab bridge, and it shouldn't be visually intrusive, but it will look much like the bridges that are replaced or placed across the river all the way down, even south of downtown. And this is a rendering of like the basic bridge, the prefab bridge. So this is a rendering of it. So this is option 1 for the board to review. And then this is option 2, which would likely reuse some of the existing stone as much as possible. But the bridge would be a little bit wider. The ends would be a little bit different. I can show a picture of what it looks like now if you want. And then for comparison, but this is the rendering. And then in terms of the archaeology, there won't be any disturbance to the bank that hasn't already occurred, or to the riverbed or anything like that.
Question about that.
Mm-hmm.
No disturbance other than what's already occurred.
Yeah, because the way that they'll sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just want to ask you to clarify that statement.
Yeah, let me show you. Hang on real quick. Can you?
Nicole, this was constructed in 1968, this current bridge, is that correct?
Yeah. And then, hang on, I'm trying to keep sharing, but it wants me to pause.
You might just have to change your screen because we're still seeing that.
Okay, let me re-jump in here and I'll show you the demolition request. So the way that the prefab bridge will be is that it'll set further off on either bank, so it doesn't have the same structure. It's kind of more set on top. And then let me show you if I can find it here. Oh shoot. Let me just pull up a photo of the existing.
Was there a bridge there before 68?
Yes,
So there was, yeah, but it was not a stone bridge. It was a wood bridge.
Nicole?
Yes.
I gotta ask. Are they replacing the entire bridge or just the deck?
No, it'll be the entire bridge because so there's been like 3 engineers that have looked at it to see if it could just be replaced or remodeled in some way. But it's so structurally unsound, and I can show you some of the engineers' photos if you want, that it needs to be demolished. The only thing that's holding it up right now are these rock facades and maybe one beam the underneath. But it's in very poor condition. So right here, I don't know if I can annotate.
What about the abutments that are buried in the ground on either side of the bridge? Those gonna be replaced?
So these will be replaced here. Can you see where I'm drawing?
Yeah, there's a disturbance.
And then this will be taken out back here too. So there is disturbance. It's not projected to be new disturbance. That's a better way to say it. But yeah. And this is pre-ordinance. So yes, I understand what you're saying.
Thank you.
But the reason I asked for clarification is that if there is any disturbance of structure or deposits that are outside the existing walls that define the channel of the river.
Mm-hmm. Like here?
I can't see where you're pointing.
Oh, I drew like a little green circle, but
okay, yeah. Beyond the edge of the bridge,
mm-hmm.
in essence.
Right.
The fill that's behind those walls was placed there when the river park was created. And those deposits would therefore then meet the 75-year criterion for some level of concern under the city ordinance. And we want to make sure we're not digging into, albeit recent historic, but historic deposits to replace something that is apparently not historic. And the original historic wooden bridge has long since disappeared. And the whole reason there was a bridge there in the first place, as far as I can tell, is because, gee, it's right at the end of Shelby. And the old headquarters of the state parks was right there where you've drawn your green circle in the parking lot of the land office.
Yes.
So it's a state park. When was it constructed? 1930s?
Well, the state park was 1930s, and then you know, construction on it continued on until like 1940. And the state park is a National Register site. It's the Santa Fe River Park Channel is the National Register name. And this bridge was excluded from inclusion in the National Register property. So SHPO said that they don't need to review the design or anything for this, that, you know, that it just doesn't, it's not contributing to the property. So the question that we're taking to, one of the questions that we're taking to HDRB is whether or not this bridge is considered contributing per the city ordinance for its historic status. And so that could change things a little bit. I'm not sure, again, because of the condition of the bridge, if there's demolition can be avoided. I don't think it can be. And then in terms of what the replacement bridge is, there should be very minimal ground disturbance, because the way that they do it is they're going to lay it kind of across. But that, you know, so I can ask more questions about that of the engineers. There isn't any construction drawings currently. So this is like a 30% design because we needed to know what the bridge is going to look like, kind of thing.
Okay. So
yeah, sorry.
Lots of details yet to be defined, but just know that one of us at least is concerned about the deposits behind those walls because they're historic under the city's ordinance.
Okay, perfect. That is exactly what I wanted to show you this project for, to understand your concerns.
And the materials that are in that backfill are very, very interesting because they contain Spanish colonial and everything on up in large quantity. They also contain some pre-contact materials because they were just fetched from wherever and yonder and thrown in there to backfill behind the wall.
So
There could be literally anything in there.
in so these abutments will be removed. So that might already put the project in a space where it definitely needs monitoring during demolition.
Yeah, I would think because the potential of having an effect on those walls, even though the bridge was built later,
Yeah.
something real.
Okay. Okay, then I will give that information to the project manager and then we'll work on some more details to bring to you all.
Nicole?
Yeah.
For me, it really boils down to whether the contractor can maintain themselves in that narrow footprint or not, whether that's realistic. A lot of times the contractor will say they can, but they forget about the temporary use area during construction. So
Yeah.
where are they gonna park their equipment overnight? You know, how are they gonna access the site? Those kind of details would be helpful.
Okay, yeah, I'll ask him about staging and then kind of the process of demolition, how that's going to operate. So I'll get you guys more details and bring that to you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee comment?
I have curiosity about how you lay a bridge over a river without having it attached on either side. So I'm assuming there's going to be some footings, and that means digging.
Right, basically.
I think there will be some level of footing, but well, I'll find out. I'll get more clear on what the level of disturbance is for putting in the new bridge, and then again, it might be more that we need to figure out exactly what type of bridge is going in there, because I know that if there is a stone facade required by the board, if that's the design that they approved, that's a heavier bridge than the lighter weight prefab without the stone.
It's also possible they might have to drive pilings, which would go deeper than.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I was just commenting that one of the design requirements might be to drive pilings, which would go deeper than anything we've had a chance to look at in terms of the surface, right?
Okay. Yep. And I will.
Down 20 feet, we don't know what's down there.
Yeah. Let me find out more about the actual construction of it, and I'll bring that back to you. Construction, footprint, staging. Okay, and I'll talk to the contractor because I've been talking to the engineer, and that's a different conversation.
Two different languages.
It is. It is. Okay, well, thank you for your time, and I'm glad that I brought this and you guys had some good feedback.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yeah, take care.
Okay, circling back to new business. Case number 2025-10628. Ryan Brucker, applicant, requests approval for listing as an archaeologist for the Historic Downtown Archaeological Review District on the City of Santa Fe's list of approved archaeologists and historians.
Sorry, policy.
Thank you for your staff report, Heather. Anything you know to add or change?
There are no changes. Thank you, Chair.
We have the applicant who will need to be identified and sworn in.
Can you please raise your right hand, state your name and address for the record?
Ryan Brucker, 1712 Prospect Avenue, Northwest, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Chair, he's been sworn in.
Sir, anything you feel you need to add to the materials you've submitted?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Committee member Bechtel.
No comment.
Member Pierce.
Well, in this case, I really wish you'd go on here and do the math. But like with Dr. Gallison, it seems like almost all of the downtown historic experience is the Georgia Review project. Two of the good ones, but by my count, We just barely hit that 6 months, and if I've done math right. So. I don't know, I wish I had more time to. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so I've got 111 days. And 4 days on the monitoring project is about all I saw for downtown. And according to the chart, 6 months would be 120 days. So I hate to dig you for 4 days before you're right on the line. So, but I think I'll yield, just see how the rest of you feel about it.
Number three.
There's a lot of experience. I seem to recall that we had a graduate degree requirement. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't have any idea if there's a experience versus graduate degree.
There is an equivalency determined by us.
Okay.
If somebody doesn't have the graduate degree, we look at experience and make that call.
So you're correct. There is a graduate degree requirement.
Other than that, I had nothing. A lot of experience.
How are you currently listed on the state's list of approved personnel?
For supervisor? Or,
Are you listed
yes, I have my state supervisor permit. I do not have a
supervisory archaeologist?
Yes, sir. If you bring up my CV, I put at one of the columns because I didn't know what else to put. I put all my permits that I have. Probably at the very end, since it's
Page 23. Of the podcast.
Is there any further work scheduled at Georgia O'Keeffe in which you might participate?
I'm currently monitoring right now. Well, not presently, but that's where I came from.
Let me ask you this, have 5 working days there elapsed since you prepared this chart?
This is my 3rd day. No, my 4th day, excuse me. Tomorrow will be 5.
I can't, I think we're okay. It would be ridiculous to send me back for 1 day.
Doing the math on the fly, but that's why I asked, because I knew there was monitoring happening. I didn't know you were doing it, and you said you are, so that's gonna take another little while, so we're gonna be well over here in just a day or two. So it's up to the committee to decide whether all the other experience is sufficient to serve in lieu of the graduate degree.
Any comments?
And
Well, I'm in favor of it, so I'll go ahead and make the motion. Mr. Chair, I move that in case 10-628, we approve Ryan Brucker for listing as archaeologist in historic downtown.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried. Thank you.
thank you all.
Put a gold star on your hat and go back and watch.
Yeah, good work.
No joke, it was hard to write, so congrats.
Thanks, sir.
Case number 20. Hold on.
Sorry. It was just. Sorry,
Study it.
it was.
Okay. Testing, does it still work? Need a response from the field, whoever's logged in remotely. Because we can all hear each other, but. Russian, running at about 100 meters depth.
Thank you, IT. Okay, you may continue, Chair.
Robin raised his hand, but curious to know if he could actually hear.
Can you hear us okay, Robin? Please unmute.
Yep, loud and clear.
Thank you, sir.
All right,
All right, thank you, Ben.
Now that I'm thoroughly lost. Did I read this yet?
No.
No. Case number 202510118. Natalie Frodsham, applicant, requests approval for listing as an archaeologist for the River and Trails and Suburban Archaeological Review Districts on the City of Santa Fe's list of approved archaeologists and historians. Thank you, Paul, for the staff report. Anything to change or add?
No, Chair, thank you.
We have the applicant in attendance. You see his name on there.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
You
please.
can. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can see you now too.
Well, you'll have to be identified, sworn in, please.
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Natalie Page Frodsham, 2543 Desert Garden Lane, Southwest, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalties of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Chair, this one in.
Ms. Frodsham, you have the floor. Anything you wish to add to your materials already submitted?
No, sir.
All right, we'll move to committee for questions and comment. Member Pierce.
No comment.
Member Beck.
No comment.
Member Trees.
I hate to be a joiner, but I think I'll go with that too. No comment.
Well, you are unique. I see no flags for questions. So that's 4 of us with no comment. We can entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that in case 10-118, we approve Natalie Frodsham for listing as archaeologist in rivers and trails and suburban districts.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you very much.
Case number 2025-10629, Joseph Berkman, applicant, requests approval for listing as an archaeologist for the historic downtown River and Trail and Suburban Archaeological Review Districts on the City of Santa Fe list of approved archaeologists and historians. Thank you for your staff report, Paul. Anything to add?
No, Chair, thank you.
And sorry, Dr. Berkman, your honorific was not on the agenda. Or I would have stated so.
It's okay.
You'll need to be identified and sworn in.
Will you please raise your right hand, state your name and address for the record?
Joseph M. Berkman, 6632 Osceola Northeast.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item will be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalties of perjury? Thank you. Chair, just fine.
Dr. Berkman, anything to add to your application?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not.
Number 3.
Let's see, we're going for historic downtown as well. You're going through for the whole ball game.
Yep.
How? There are enough total days, I just don't know how it breaks down. Does an applicant have to be a crew chief for a certain amount of time for all of that to work too?
Generally, yes, but it looks like from the chart that all of these entries are for crew chief or higher.
Yeah, I was told only to include things that were at the
Okay.
advisory level.
Okay.
If we, yeah, I have copies of the other stuff if that's relevant, because it would,
Okay.
but
Yeah, we're done.
yeah.
Good.
Okay. And Rebecca,
No comment.
Member Pierce,
Yeah, so looking at the chart of experience, I do see 485 total days supervisory, which is just over the 2-year threshold. But for historic downtown,
Yeah.
it does not appear like you were there for the entirety of the project and don't have any other experience, so
Sure.
could be a hard pass for me on that.
Cool.
That's all.
that was my only comment, so, I'm anticipating that there will be a motion to approve you for River and Trails and Suburban and not for downtown. Would you wish to pursue that?
Sure.
Okay. Then I'm done.
Hey, can I just so move, or should I actually? I'll go ahead and say it. Mr. Chair, I move that in case 10-629 that we approve Dr. Berkman for listing as an archaeologist in the suburban and river and trail districts, but not for the historic downtown.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
No worries.
One short month and 2 days,
No worries.
and you'll be there.
Get there.
One short month and 2 days in the downtown, so
Yeah.
I guess you could hope that they find something on monitoring. Back to the township. Although your sponsor would probably wasn't speaking. Thanks. Case number 2025-10444, Ron Winters, agent for Dave Martinez, Santa Fe Civic Housing Authority, applicant, requests approval of an archaeological inventory report of 4.799 acres for the proposed redevelopment at the Santa Fe Country Club Apartments, 5999 Airport Road in the Suburban Archaeological Review District. Thank you for the staff report. Well, Paul, anything to change or add?
No, Chair. Thank you.
Ready? You have the applicant identified and sworn in, please.
Will you please state your name and address for the record?
Ron Winters, 109 Calle Paula, Santa Fe, New Mexico, 87505.
Thank you. Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Chair, please sign in.
You have the floor, sir. Anything you need to add to this?
Oh, a couple things. I did some additional research and found out some interesting facts. And David, when you alluded to walking all over that area, of course included Alicia Abbott's site map for what you found just to the west of my project area. The ditch and the terraces that you found and were given a LA number. And as you noted on the site map, that ditch ended about 80 meters, I believe, west of your east boundary. I did include the 51 Soil Conservation Service aerial that you see that shows or depicts a linear feature that goes through what was my project area and then into what I think you recorded. One thing wasn't able to find out, I reached out to Alicia, but did not hear back, and you could probably clarify. In the report, you referenced Snow about a sewer ditch, and I could not find in his report a reference to that. There was no page number, and but you talk about that could be what was on your property. And I did, just for your information, I included Ed Romero's interview with the Senate in New Mexico about what the project was all about, what they're planning on doing. That was just kind of extra. But the big find though was that 1941 document that explains what you found and why that easement is on my plat. The housing authority couldn't tell me why it was on the plat, but that information in that document did explain what that was. I also, went back out to the site, and as you see with those photos, there was no evidence on the ground, and that's what I had found in the initial survey, that there was no physical evidence of that. So I hope I've explained why it was there and why it was not there.
Why it was once there and why it is no longer there.
Yeah. So that's all.
Cool. Committee member Pierce.
I think we were close to approving it last time. The only question was the easement on the plat. Your 1941 document makes that pretty clear, so I'm satisfied.
Okay.
Number 3.
I'm good.
Rebecca.
I'm fine with the content, other than, I would like all the references to member Bechtel removed from the report. You can call us the Archaeological Review Committee, but not member Bechtel.
Sure.
Thank you.
Apologize, Chair, Member Bechtel, for not catching it.
It's okay. Let's do it.
I would say I start again, and I will. Just hope nobody ate anything that was grown on those terraces. Because they were grown with effluent that was produced long before the standards of discharge meeting a minimum consideration for health, well-being of the public. But clearly somebody was doing something with those terraces. I'm very glad you found that document and were able to trace it because of reference within the plat. Bingo. Buried in there below the level that we could see from reference number.
Yeah.
Thank you.
David, one last question. Did Snow actually say call sewer ditch?
He mentions the existence of a sewer.
Okay.
But he does not include it as part of his safety list.
Okay.
It's an obscure little sidebar comment somewhere in there.
Okay, because it was driving me crazy trying to find.
And the only person who could answer that was, way too long. 2004.
21 years?
Yeah.
Okay, I won't hold you to.
And the whole east end of that project had been built by construction, possibly of the entrance to
Right. Country Club,
Esplanade Village.
yeah, oh, Esplanade Village, yeah.
So I'm glad you tied up those ends. I think it has a nice bow on it, and I think we're done. So. Motion.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I move that in case 10444, we approve Ron Winter's archaeological inventory report for redevelopment of the Santa Fe Country Club apartments, with the requested correction to the text.
Okay,
Okay.
Moved in second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
thank you all.
Carry. Thank you. Case number 2025-10448. Bar Engineering Company, agent from Ellison to the company. Applicant requests approval of a monitoring plan for the proposed construction of a new terminal at the Santa Fe Regional Airport, 121 Aviation Drive in the Suburban Archaeological Review District. Thank you for the staff report. Paul, anything to change or add?
No, Chair.
Thank you. We have presenter.
There on.
Please raise your hand if you're the presenter for Matthew.
There he is.
Correct. Correct. Matt is fine.
Thank you, Matt.
Matt, will you please state your name and address for the record?
Matthew Lant, 320 Osuna Road Northeast, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87107.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Chair, you can swear.
Matt, you have the floor. Anything you feel you need to add to your submission?
I do not believe so, Chair.
All right. Then committee members. Member Bexell,
No comment.
Member Pierce,
Yeah, Matt, I just want to say that the revised graphics and the beefed up narrative description of the project have a lot of clarity, but thank you for doing that over. I know we kicked it back last time, but I'm happy now. All the detail we need is in there, so thank you.
Excellent. You're welcome.
Member Trees.
I had similar comments, so Derek stole mine.
And all I want to say is thank you for including that discussion of the intended survey. So I know I had asked you to do that. Not that you're going to find anything on said survey as you indicate because of the disturbance of the earth, but you never know. There could be scattered artifacts, and it could literally be anything again, from earliest prehistory right up to 75 years ago. So you could take a cue from Ron Winters and walk it at closer than 25 feet. He typically walks it a meter apart when it's a small acreage.
Yeah, we'll walk it at least twice for sure.
Wow. Very good. Thank you, sir. Motion?
Mr. Chair, in case 10448, I move that we accept Bar Engineering's revised monitoring plan for construction of a new terminal at the airport.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Chair and Committee. Appreciate your time.
Case number 2025-10630. SWCA, Agent for Public Service Company of New Mexico, PNM. Applicant requests approval of an archaeological monitoring report for 934 feet of subsurface electrical service lines at 920 Shoofly Street in the Suburban Archaeological Review District. Thank you for the staff report, Paul. Anything to add or change?
No, Chair. Thank you.
We have the applicant visible on screen. He'll have to be allowed to speak and be sworn in.
Robin,
Yep, I'm here.
will you please state your name and address for the record?
Robin Cordero, 2101 Dorothy Street Northeast, and that's Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87112.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Sheriff, he's been sworn in.
Robin, it's yours. Tell us all about it.
So I think the big change on this one from the original monitoring plan was the Railfan Road section was not developed. Once we opened up some trenches at the intersection of Flagman and Railfan, P&M realized that there's an existing conduit of theirs that they had not been aware of. And we're able to reuse that conduit rather than doing any trenching or additional work. So there was no development on Railfan Road. But that's the only thing I wanted to make sure I clarified here.
I have one question for clarification before we go to committee. Do you have any clue when that conduit that they weren't aware of got placed?
I did not. I could check on that, but it wasn't until they opened up the trench that they saw the conduit in place. So, and that would be the trench, I believe it's trench F on the diagram.
Right.
So
it would be wonderful if you could do that, because I'm just really curious, because I'd like to know if it was something that came before an earlier committee and disappeared into the vast records of the city because it isn't a survey, therefore it isn't in the records of my co-committee member.
I'll see. I will do some research and see if I can't track that down with P&M.
Thank you. All right, committee member Beck.
I appreciated the archival research and sort of marching me through the process of development of this site. Thank you.
Member Beard.
Yeah, Robin, I have a 3 comments, and they're all clustered on page 52 and 53.
Can you give me the chapter page number?
Chapter 5.
5.2 and 5.3.
I'm looking at 5.1 actually. So
okay. Thank you.
There's a sentence about 2/3 of the way down the first paragraph that says that Jim Gallison, Adam Sullins, and Robin Cordero were field supervisors, and Gabriel Martinez was field crew.
Yes.
Am I correct in assuming that it was a different supervisor each time, not 3 supervisors standing around 1 employee?
Yeah. At various points, either Jim Gallison, Adam Sullins, or myself were the supervisors. Yes. We all switched off as the supervisors.
Okay.
And just to be clear, when Gabrielle Martinez served as the field crew, I was always the supervisor.
Fair enough, thank you. In the very next paragraph, second to last sentence, there's just a tense error. It says that bore pits may be required. Well, the project is done, so you know if it's required or not. And then finally, on page 53, this is your let's see, 5.1.1, the 4th paragraph. The second sentence reads, cultural deposits encountered in trench AF, trench B, and pothole 2 during monitoring include fragments of coal, asphalt, and brick, and represent space, period. There's an unfinished sentence there.
Yeah. All right, I will complete that sentence for you.
Cool. Thank you, that's all I have. Member Trace. So the your report says they were putting in a 5-inch conduit.
That's correct.
The unexpected find of the existing conduit. Was that a 5-inch as well, or what size was that?
I don't recall what size that was, but there was no existing line in it. So it was an open conduit, if I recall correctly.
Was it PVC like?
Yeah,
what they were
yes.
putting in?
Yes.
That's all I have. So actually, let me just say, there was a termination. Did you, I mean, when they were digging, did they just find the conduit there and they cut into it and put in what they needed to and capped it off, or put a box there, or how did they deal with that?
Yeah, they were putting in a pull box right there. And so when we opened up the trench, they realized that there was an existing conduit there in the trench going down Railfan. So they just used that for their they just used that one and put the pull box where they were originally going to put it to begin with.
So there's no real way. Did they put a tracer or anything in the conduit part that they didn't use, so they know where that went?
I believe they already tracked down. I believe they tracked down and realized that they had that existing conduit. Once they identified it, they were able to figure out which conduit it was and where it went.
Okay. I'm just thinking, future, whatever. There's a conduit, an empty one that goes back one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Understood.
That's it. Okay, thank you.
And I only have one niggling little thing, and that's on your figure 5-5. Profile of French aid. In the caption, it describes the stain as charcoal, but in your text you talk about coal, brick, etc.
It should be coal.
Yeah.
So thank you.
That's what I thought. Okay. That's all. We can have a motion.
Mr. Chair, in case 10-630, I move that we accept SWCA's archaeological monitoring report for subsurface electrical service lines at 920 Sioux Street.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
That's it. Nice work. Now move on to administrative matters and communication. Paul.
Oh gosh, Jurek, members of the ARC. Stephen, no, to the table. We are looking at creating team.
The first item was the Georgia Key.
Oh, yes, okay. And say.
Yeah, I didn't read the item. I figured.
Oh, for the Georgia, now this one, Cherek, members of the ARC, I didn't make the site visit to the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum site. However, Amanda shared with me and staff shared with me, there were some considerations thinking moving forward for some support for the research data potential.
Sorry, Paul, you'll have to put your volume up a little bit so that it could hear you. It wasn't picking you up.
Okay,
So no volume. Yeah. So
moving forward, we're just creating an open dialogue with the ARC and see what direction you would like to move forward and how we as staff can implement that. Or how,
Which,
for the first one, for the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, for further data collection. And so how can we support using archaeological funding from the archaeological fund to support that? And what does the ARC see and how can we as staff implement this?
Just for clarification, this all revolves around the ditch, trench, fortification, whatever it is.
Right,
which seems to keep going.
unanticipated, very important, so.
Poquito más allá. So, an opportunity to pursue that question was observed. And the personnel who had done the GPR, and I think it was only GPR, not any other remote sensing technology, being familiar with the signature of what is already known, familiar with the signature before it was discovered, familiar perhaps with the signature that might still be visible moving just off the property and under things like sidewalks and other construction and streets and other things that might interfere with said detection. And if a proposal were brought forward to pursue such research, perhaps the ARC would consider helping support that, given that such a discovery and the further definition of its dimensions would be something of significance for the city of Santa Fe on a citywide level, being integral to its history. That it might be something that an applicant might wish to proceed with and something that the committee might like to consider.
Mr. Chairman, would any hypothetical expenditure from the fund be considered part of the ongoing data recovery, or is this a separate project essentially unrelated to Georgia O'Keeffe? Meaning that whoever the vendor could come in and propose to do this work under contract with the city, not necessarily Georgia O'Keeffe. My point is, are we hiring a consultant to go out and trace this footprint with GPR, or are we just tacking this work onto the existing data recovery, in which case we'd have to get more money to do the proponent?
Those are all undefined. Certainly.
Chair, Vice Chair Pierce, that's a great question. Given the goal and role that is currently taking place at Georgia O'Keeffe Museum now, may not be into consideration of what the objective would be for this, if this is for the overall city and supporting that, knowing where. So this may.
I mean, for one, that we'd be going outside of the O'Keeffe property. Right? They certainly because they have to pay for anything outside of their own property. So
right.
Then it seems like this has to be a research proposal on its own, a standalone thing, which we choose to fund or not in addition to.
Right.
mm-hmm.
And it would be quite large in knowing, understanding the whole, whether it be on Washington Ave or Sheridan and how the extension east and north, west, and this would then help us as staff when during the permitting process, when they're doing utility line work or they're doing any kind of ground disturbance, we would have a good idea of where the impacts would take place and how to implement the monitoring for those locations.
So the other thing we would need to know is permission, right? I mean,
right.
However much we might like to follow this onto a joint parcel, it doesn't mean the landowner's got to let us.
Right.
So I would want those permissions secured before we entertain the idea of spending money.
Bingo. Rebecca.
I guess I was just thinking about describing the scope of work and what would, what would it be? How, what property owners do we need permission from? How far do we go? I mean, there's just a lot of questions that I don't really know, how ground, GPR work. Is it like a lawnmower that you go over the ground, or is it from a drone, or?
No, lawnmower is pretty good description.
Yeah.
Looks a lot like a
Yeah.
lawnmower. Yeah.
So then you have to have place to mow, so, yeah. Anyway, it's, and also how much money is in the fund? And what does it cost? And what are we really gaining? And is this the most important place for the archaeology committee to spend its money? I mean, all those questions would start coming up for me once the scope of work is defined.
I think it is one of the most significant finds we've seen in a long time, and so I'm all for it, but the details, of course, matter, right? We have to know the proposal before we can start saying, yeah, it's a great idea.
You would like an official proposal brought before you first,
Yeah.
before further discussion?
It would have to be before we could vote on it.
Yeah.
Just conceptually, though, it seems like there's some level of interest. Member Tracy.
I would, and it's good that you're here from the Public Utilities Division, because I would wonder what the public utilities are going down that street and where they're located before we even think about, because it might be that whatever was there is only this far, rather than all the way across the street or partway into the street. If digging for a sewer line or water line or whatever was put in 50 years ago, somebody just ran into some junk in the dig,
Make a good point. Maybe we've already seen this thing and we just didn't know it.
Yeah. So I don't know, that would be one thing that would be, of course you do that anyway, with, it's like doing one call, find out what's there before you start digging. And we're not talking about digging, we're talking about, GPR, but still, if we know that, for instance, a trench was dug in 1954 and it went down 10 feet, that right outside the sidewalk on the west side of the road, that, we're done, probably.
Robin Cadero has raised his hand. Chair.
Hi, I'd just like to offer, I asked the GPR operator, Jenny Sturm, to be on this call in case you might have some technical questions that you'd like to bring up and pose to her.
Yes. Thank you. Do you have any questions for her?
Oh, 1,000 questions.
Jenny, you may unmute.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Hello.
Do we need to be sworn?
This is not
a case, so.
Just discussion.
Go ahead, Jenny.
Yeah, sure. I've been listening a little bit, and I can't answer, some questions about, how the GPR works. It is ground-based, to answer that question. And I don't know if if any other questions had kind of come up. GPR does tend to go very fast. I know we would be at least partially working in the road, and which is obviously very flat, clear surface. So I would anticipate in terms of that disruption could be kept to a minimum.
How well does it see through roads? Right, if you're going through asphalt,
Very, very well. Yeah, GPR is actually mostly used for construction and utility work. As archaeologists, we just kind of hijacked the equipment and use it for archaeology. So we will see, we'll see the asphalt thickness, we'll see any utilities that are there as well. But because we know what this archaeological feature looks like now in the radar, if it continues under the road, we should be able to pick it up, knowing now that we've done it before.
Just off the top of your head, do you recall the depth at which you detected the existing known feature?
I believe it was about 1 meter down, give or take. Robin might be able to correct me on that, but that was my recollection.
1 meter below some surface upon which you were doing it, but
Right.
did you do your GPR before the existing pavement was taken out of that project area?
No. So in that case, it would have been located a little deeper from an asphalt surface, but still within the range of detection for our system. Our system can get between 2 and 3 meters pretty easily.
So I can clarify that. When we did the GPR scan, we had removed the asphalt, but we had also then put in another 6 inches to a foot, closer to 6 inches of fill dirt to level the surface before the GPR started. So, and the top of the wall was about 3.5 feet below the surface, going down to about 7.5 feet below surface to the base of the columns.
So just projecting in a rough way, we would anticipate the continuation of this feature to be at approximately 2.5 meters below the grade of the sidewalk immediately west of your project area.
I think the top of the wall, the top of that fortification trench, you should see at about 3 feet below the sidewalk.
Okay, I'm interested in seeing the whole thing, though.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's where the top of it would be. So yeah, 3 feet to, yes, 3 feet to roughly 7 feet below the level of the sidewalk.
Okay.
It's only 4 feet deep, that feature?
At its top.
At the very top, yes. It's about 3.5 feet.
Which is approximately 1 meter.
Yes.
Yes.
But really, we would just be in the roads. We wouldn't be, I mean, I'm just looking at the,
If you stick to the roads, then the city already has without permission, right?
Right.
Harassing a private landowner to go survey their yard.
yeah,
Right.
That.
Streets and sidewalks, I believe, are ours.
Yeah. Oh.
like Borough Alley, the extension of Grant. So there's some,
Yeah,
it'd be interesting.
it would sure help to know where this thing is before we start doing other big excavations, right? So it's not accidental discoveries next time.
I mean, one of the things that is curious to me is whether it's just straight. Does it turn? What does it do? But that may or may not be possible to find out too.
I will say it is very curious and telling that Jenny and I were looking at it yesterday or day before on a map, and it really does run perpendicular to Grant Avenue. So it would seem to indicate that there might be a turn in the wall and Grant Avenue might run parallel with that turn in the wall. So
And then Borough Alley sort of is a continuation.
If it went south,
If it goes south.
if it went to the north, who knows? But that would be step one.
Mm-hmm.
Is it detectable beyond the fence under the sidewalk? And two, how far does it go until it turns, if it turns? We may learn that it goes straight across the street and keeps going and we're done. Or we may know that it goes both ways and we're only scratching the surface. So logistically, the only time I've known GPR to work well
in a city environment was if all traffic was kept well away. And usually that means doing it in the middle of the night. So closing the road should be pretty simple from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And could it all be done in one night from the whole distance of the entirety of Borough Alley all the way up Grant to the church?
Well, I'd have to see the actual area. Probably. I have done night surveys before when I've worked in urban areas. Obviously, I don't want my team or I to get hit by a car. So if that's what had to happen, that's what we would do.
Just hypothetically, it's 30 meters by 120 meters. That's the total area that's involved.
That would probably take several hours at least. But a day, I would consider that probably a full day, a full work day.
Entirely accomplishable within 8 hours.
I don't want to make, promises. There's other kind of mapping stuff that we would have to do as well, but maybe some of it could be, if we're talking about just the logistics of a night survey, I'm sure we could figure out ways to split that up if we needed to.
Just trying to get a sense of how much of a commitment of protection of a crew the city would need to undertake to make this happen. As you said, you don't want anybody run over by a car. And
right. No, yeah, that's very understandable. We could work within the time constraints that we were given if we needed to.
Is that methodology? Do you go crisscross, or can you do it just one way, or how does that work? I mean, like, would you go up and down the street and then back and forth between the sidewalks just to make sure you get a good shot, or how would that be necessary? Is that overkill?
Yeah, in this case, I mean, that's a really good question. In this case, we might want to do exactly what you just said, especially if we are looking for a turn. We always want to try to survey perpendicular to the feature that we're trying to map. And so in this case, I think it would make a lot of sense to start, going up and down the street, see if we're catching it, and then go the other way to see if it turns. And I think that would allow us to make a better map. That might take a little bit longer, though. I will add, if we're doing two different directions.
Oh, I don't want to skip the logistics and the details, but it seems to me that because George O'Keefe is not involved in that, the first thing you're going to need to move forward is a project sponsor, right? Somebody will have to step up and say, we're going to pay for so-and-so to do GPR. So is that the city? Is SWCA going to offer to do it if we pay them out of the fund? I'm struggling to see who's actually going to propose and sponsor this research.
And then write a report afterwards.
Right.
So we need to do the whole thing, a proposal, approval, and a report.
Yeah, that's my fear, that you might have to do this through RFP or some other procurement thing, so that there's competitive bidding and that's the whole process, right?
Right.
Sure.
What is the standard process for applying for those funds? Is it a researcher applies to secure some funding, or would it be something that the city would put out and then we would propose on?
It can be almost anything. It was created to allow people doing research under the city's ordinance to apply for additional funds if what they found was of significance and it required effort above and beyond the city's prescribed limits of required funding on the part of private individuals who are faced with complying with the ordinance. So it did additional pit house excavations in one case because they were up against a funding limit and there was another $10,000 worth of work to be done. It paid for some additional samples in another case because there was an opportunity to actually learn something from additional radiocarbon and flotation samples above and beyond that which was required for compliance with the city ordinance. So there's been a half a dozen or more within my memory cases where such funds were used in such a way. There have also been 2 instances in which the city proposed to do something that was deemed to be of citywide significance and asked the committee to provide partial funding. And we did so.
I think in both those cases, though, we were providing a match to an outside grant. Correct?
We were.
Yeah.
We were not the sole source. It was something that was going to happen or needed to happen based on somebody else's decision, and we were just there to help make the books balance.
Understood.
So if you have a sugar daddy, and a proposal, I think life would be easier. If you don't, then the city has to be convinced that it's worth enough to them to commit some city funds.
Probably also want the city attorney to look at it and verify that we actually can. This would essentially be a direct hire, right? Okay. So want to make sure that's okay before we go too far.
The ones we funded before were direct hires from the city. They were proposals that the city vetted applicants and chose who was going to do the project, and then the project scope was such that additional funds were needed. Make it fit the bill. So, yes, by all means, but anything that goes through the city is gonna have to go through the whole procurement system, chapter and verse, front to back. That's why it's easier if you can find a sugar daddy.
Well, and by sugar daddy, you might mean a state or city or federal grant.
But even that is the city grants, like the SAKIAS, y'all just got that grant, you applied for, I think, to the state for funding for the SAKIA study. So it's not like it's.
And for the foreseeable future, I think you can pretty much
the federal is not
forget the federal.
Yes, however, my employer does have sizable grant program now that does not come through federal funding. It'd be a pretty sexy proposal. But we're not gonna consider that.
Thank you.
So I think in short, it would be more than just us. But I think in short, there's interest and we would be happy to consider a proposal and some budgetary information and consider whether we can pursue the use of archaeology fund money for the project. But there's a lot of homework first.
Yes,
sir.
I have 2 comments. One about the procurement process. I think another way to, and of course this would have to go through the city attorney or whatever, but another way to procure a contractor to do that work would be to have them subcontracted to someone that's already contracted with the city. This is something the water division does. We have engineering firms that are contracted through the water division, and those firms have their own contracted cultural compliance firms, such as Bar Engineering, for example. That's how their contract works with the water division, is they're contracted through Hazen and Sawyer, and then that way we don't have to go through the whole RFP process to procure them. And the second thing is I think just as far as like closing the street overnight, that would probably involve also having an approved traffic plan with streets. Just throwing that out there.
if it's a city idea, that should be easy to
Right.
facilitate. Yes, if it's my idea, you can do that. I'm really stuck in the tar pit for several eons.
However, if it's what is basically a private consideration, and they're asking the city to close down the streets, the city's gonna want them to pay. I mean, is that the usual process?
I'm not sure because, you know, when the water division does it, it's our contractor that does the traffic plan and everything. So I'm not that involved with it, but I know it does include, you know, having to tell streets, this is the signage we're gonna have, this is the detours we're gonna have. So it can be a little involved.
That's an important consideration, is the channel will determine how easy it is and how cooperative certain people will be.
Yeah, because if you're paying the going rate, a traffic control plan may cost more than the GPR work.
Yes.
Right, so it shouldn't be just brushed off as insignificant.
Right. And I think timing plays a factor in that too. I mean, streets is probably not gonna allow you to shut down those streets during Zozobra or something, for instance.
Which
you
is
know?
why I said in the middle of the night.
Right.
Because fewer people care, but you guys are a source of inside information, as to how interested the city might be. I mean, if I were in charge of city utilities and I didn't know, for instance, exactly where every utility between south end of Borough Alley and Church are, what's it worth to know where they are? Maybe there's a city planning component of knowing where stuff is that could be utilized, and that's a different reason to do the project. Go out and document all of the utilities and any and all subterranean anomalies that might affect future utility work in this area.
And Sherrick, I think that would be an easy sell. I would even say after Dr. Abbott's teaching at El Zaguán about all the burials on the Guadalupe Cemetery and the burials that extend from Dunkin' Donuts east and west and north and south, we were able to put soft holds for any groundwork in those areas with streets within our own permitting process. So we were able to, because we didn't know, but now that we do know, we can do certain steps that preserve any of that ground disturbance. So as soon as somebody triggers any groundwork within that corridor, we are notified, we do the review and make sure that, okay, well, you're going to need monitoring for this project, period, right? So we can do that soft holds work. Now we know on Grant Ave the extension of this, so now all those properties are now going to get a soft hold for any ground disturbance, even if it's a 25 square foot boundary at streets, right? So now we have that, but now we can share this information on our next segment. I believe we can now start creating and honing in from big picture to smaller scale for a proposal that we could then present to the governing body with the support of our departments. And I think we have that. I think we have a good argument for that. I think we have a city manager and mayor that would support that and a city attorney that will review it for us. I think right now we're in a good place that we would have that. So I do.
Good, then we don't have to think about all those things.
No, Stephen, you and I will be thinking, we'll work on this.
Yeah, we'll have to think about them one day, but now all the work is on you guys.
But now we can work with Robin and Jenny and establishing this and seeing a direction moving forward. If that works for you, Robin and Jenny, in the future, we'll see where it goes.
Tentatively.
No, this is a terrible idea. Terrible idea.
Gosh.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, I
If it worked out, I hope it all comes together, because this would be really cool.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think opportunities like this don't come along very often for something so significant. So I'm happy to support the city.
Great.
I realize your photo is not moving, so it's not really you, but you could wipe that grin off your face now.
Could I ask Jenny a question really quick?
But
Jenny,
sure.
you had mentioned that GPR is used often in construction situations.
Yes.
Is it possible to determine the condition of the buried pipes through GPR or?
Yeah, it can be. If a pipe has been, if it's collapsed, for example, that will look differently than an intact pipe. Just as like a metal pipe will show up differently than like a PVC.
Okay.
Yeah, just as an example.
Sure. Maybe we could do it under the guise of utility mainline condition assessments.
There you go. And oh my God, look what we found.
Right.
There just happens to be a big archaeological feature underneath them. Yeah.
And the engineers from water, they understand that.
And we do have a need to replace pipe downtown because it's the oldest in town. And so maybe we could wrap it all into something.
There you go, you're just inventorying pipes, archaeology, just right, it's all right.
Yeah. As we often do.
Yeah. So, okay, great. Y'all, thanks for the information about the GPR. We'll sit back, cross our fingers and hope that city staff can work some magic and come up with some solutions.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to talk with you all tonight.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Robin.
So now, proposal for archaeological support for the city of Santa Fe. You sent us a little copy of a letter, Paul.
Yes, Chair.
Hold forth on all of that.
Yes, Chair. So Stephen and I are
Can I see
considering.
the?
Yes.
I want to see what that was.
Of creating an archaeological team, and we're putting together, and I reached out to all the authorities in the city in archaeology. Now for Stephen and I, the ARC is our authority. You are our authority, direct authority. And we reached out to Dr. Blinman, Dr. Post, Dr. Abbott, Karen Wenning, Dee Dee Snow, former Governor Mark Mitchell, Larry Samuel Latipo, and they've all sent me an agreement that they are willing and wanting to work in a team to establish in the next 3 years a section within the city, an archaeological section. So once I reached out to them and asked them and I got their approval, Stephen and I sat down and worked out a plan that we're going to then now present to the Public Utilities Department. They have some funding, I believe, that could support this because they're in the greatest need of archaeology. And in a facet, Dr. Blinman, and I talked to Dr. Blinman and asked him if Stephen and I could fall under his, we have the city permit for the water division and for the city to do the work, but if Dr. Blinman can oversee us and mentor us and be our principal. So he would be our direct head archaeologist per se. And I asked him for that. And we need that. And I know we don't have some of these archaeologists, historians, and so forth forever. As much as we wish we could have all of you guys forever, we don't have you forever. And we all got an expiration date. But I believe we're in a period in time where we can establish a section within the city, a good section with their guidance. And the first year, and I'm asking at a maximum $10,000 because I'll go to governing body. Stephen and I will go to governing body. We'll present this for a 3-year plan. What I'd like to do is get all these professionals here at the table or on Zoom, and we can sit down on this chalkboard and just start from scratch. See, Dr. Abbott used to be a senior planner, so she understands the whole, she knows the brokenness our department has, right? Our division and department has. She's known that for the last 20, 30 years, and you guys have seen people come and go through this department and this division throughout the years. So how do we, given that the ARC and the archaeology is probably given the least amount of support, but is required in every permit set that is established within the city, how do we give it the due process and the due diligence that it deserves? When we're coming across Presidios here, when we're coming across Ancestral Puebloan and all the whole range, right? The whole gambit. So Stephen and I said, well, maybe we can start off with some chalkboard talks for the first year. Just creating what's broken, what needs fixing, what needs to be established. What do we want? What do we want to see? What do we want to create here? And to have these authorities to help support and create and establish something that we can implement for the foreseeable future, in perpetuity. That would be our goal. And then in 2028, I guess the end goal would be Stephen would be the principal running this section, and hopefully we can get 2 to 3 archaeologists working directly under Stephen and supporting that section in such a way that, you know, and I would be with HPD and working as a planner with my role, but always being that support for Stephen and his archaeologists, you know, in whatever way forward, but however that would be. And we come before you to just for guidance, for direction. Because in 2 weeks, we have a meeting with the Public Utilities Director, Assistant Director. They're in support. However, fiscal year is ending. All the fundings are being allocated right now. And I believe if we present a plan for the next 3 years at a maximum of $270,000, not to exceed that in 3 years. But in truth, I could see us 2 hours a month getting with everybody. Maybe 2 to 4 hours a month, getting together, talking about it, but paying them for their time, their expertise, their effort, and their willingness to support this direction. So that's when we come before you, because we're going to go before the directors here in the next 2 weeks for their guidance, review, and approval, and then we'll be going to governing body in August, September.
Oh, so I understand the ask completely. The $10,000 that you mentioned, that would be to facilitate planning sessions, right?
Yes, sir.
Not for payroll for any city employee, because that's a no-go. Okay. But you are considering giving honorariums or some sort of financial compensation to people who come in and sit on that panel. What's that?
And so what we're looking at is for their time, expertise, their support. So when we asked Karen and Dr. Gleman and Dr. Post and so forth, they would give us their field expertise. Say we're working in downtown, they would come be our support when we need them. They would come across some features or something that we may not.
Oh, so you're talking more like on-call service.
But can be. It can be that, not that that's what it's meant for. By no means is it meant for that. However, with Dr. Gleman and Karen, we may be leaning on them to help us with that methodology, systematic approaches, soil interpretations, kind of a wide range for them. And then on the historic side, like talking about creating a proposal, nobody better than Dr. Post and Dee Dee Snow for this kind of work, creating a proposal that we could sell to the city. Hey, this is a need. So having them to help us write proposals for something like the Georgia O'Keeffe movement is, they would be the people you would want to write a proposal for such. I would imagine that those are the people who are instrumental in the knowledge of for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
So
I think what he and I talked about, I think if you look at it kind of under the guise of those folks being consultants we can lean on for their expertise and their knowledge of archaeology in the city and how to approach things, how, you know, that. And I don't think that we're requesting that money come from like the archaeological fund or anything like that.
No.
That's probably either coming from an approval through governing body or through the public utilities division or something like that.
And match historic or land use.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm fully in support of you guys being able to increase your internal capacity, right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, there's a clear need for that. I'm just concerned on how we can actually do it, right?
Sure.
What the constraints are on us spending any money. When you're talking about bringing in experts from the outside and compensating them, does that mean competitive bidding again, right? I mean, do they have to apply for that position? Sure. There's a million details again that you're gonna have to sort out before you can pursue this larger.
And those are the, at least the money part of it, I think we'll be discussing with the directors at Public Utility in the next couple of weeks and seeing, you know, where can we get that money from? How do we get them contracted? That's a discussion for within public utilities and land use, I think.
And why public utilities and not planning and land use?
Because public utilities has such a need for the archaeology, we're planning on building the program through the public utilities division as a way, because just for instance, just the water division under public utilities, their budget for utility line replacement in the next 5 years goes through the roof with infrastructure money. And we also have, the water division also has a 100-year plan to replace all the pipe in Santa Fe within the next 100 years. And so the need for that archaeology really stems primarily from the public utilities department. And then if we could build that program, then other departments in the city who have projects going on could approach us and say, or, you know, we would be interdepartmentally connected and talk to them and say, hey, you guys are planning on doing this bridge, for instance, you know, let's do it under the archaeological program that the city has, instead of hiring a contractor or someone else to do it.
Right. I mean, there's another red flag that just popped in my head about this fiber optics plan for the whole city of Santa Fe. I mean, how would that be affected, or how would that affect your
Well, the
plan?
other thing you have to consider too is, I mean, up until a few minutes ago, this room was full of private consultants.
Right.
And you would be pulling work away from them.
Yes.
So I would expect some pushback.
Yeah.
On that front.
Possible.
But we're talking about city utility work, not PNM
Yeah.
or gas company.
So for instance, that fiber optic stuff, that's outside of our, we're talking about, like, you know, primarily water lines, sewer lines, streets work.
Right.
Sometimes other departments like parks have projects that they want to do, and we could keep all that in the city instead of hiring out to do a lot of that work. It's kind of the concept there.
And I believe we have parks, public works, land use, public utilities, all on board. We have all the directors on board. So Regina Wheeler, Melissa McDonald, Heather Lamboy, Jesse Roach, they're all for this. So it's because they need it. Because in-house we're a lot stronger than going out to these 7 applicants and let's say if for a 200 line project downtown costs them $120K, they could pay us full-time employees in-house on staff supporting all the projects. It's just
240.
no, gosh,
No,
gosh,
that's how it would work. It would be twice as much.
no, not at all.
I don't think she's speaking from bitter experience. It would often cost more to do it in-house, but
Sometimes it can be, but I would say like, and I look at Steven. Steven's right now is working on his master's degree, and he's in it. So he's working towards his goal. We're working towards that betterment, right? And this isn't just a job. It's not a check in the box for us. We see something, we want to make something better, right? And this is our profession, this is our careers, just as all of us sitting at this table, right?
And to be fair, the people from, you know, the directors at public utilities, particularly the water division, have been talking already for several years about, we have this great need to do archaeology and it's cheaper for us to do it in-house. It honestly is. And we've been talking about, you know, getting me permitted for downtown and then hiring several other archaeologists to do other monitoring around town. And so this is just kind of like grander version of that brings in some interdepartmental 3 year stuff.
Chair, if I may, I have a question. And let me just play advocate here, because I'm a little unclear on how this is working for you all. So how is that gonna affect the ARC? So I know that you guys will be doing internal work, but your work is still going to come before this board, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I just want to have clarity that it's not just, here's your team, and then go team and leave out the board.
No, and then,
Committee.
no, this is,
Okay.
And that'll be one of the first questions the governing body will ask.
yeah.
Right.
Are you missing in the ordinance?
Just-
No,
No.
you're not.
Just so it.
And well, Paul and I had kind of spitballed on this. This isn't like sealed in stone yet or anything.
Right.
But what I had kind of suggested to Paul the last time we met and talked about this was getting to the point where we either have like an MOA or a programmatic agreement with the ARC, between the ARC and the archaeological section or the archaeologists of the Public Utilities Department, whatever, crafting some kind of memorandum of agreement or programmatic agreement that we can all work on and create so that we don't have to bring every single monitoring plan right in front of you, but we can have maybe a bigger scale thing where we present to you, this is the work that we have coming up. This is the background research that we've done. This is what we'd like to do. And then maybe having, bi-monthly presentations of the results of that work or something like that. Again, this is all in the works, and we would of course rely on you guys to kind of be the head of crafting that programmatic
And
agreement
would
or
you guys
whatever.
be requesting like fees waived, that type of stuff?
That's a great question. I think everything right now is done through the Public Utilities Department, right? So the Public Utilities, so Stephen Gilbert's the archaeologist for the Public Utilities Department.
Yeah.
So those fees are paid through Public Utilities, right? So whatever the section is entangled with, all the departments would be supporting that one section. And the fees would still be paid in the same manner, whether it's through HPD or land use or PUD, they would still be paid. We're not trying to create like our own, we're still going to be city employees, still doing the same job. We're just trying to create a section where our job is the archaeology, whether it's doing the HCPI forms for the historic districts or all the monitoring or surveying in the parks, or
And everything would go through the ARC for approval before
everything
we
would be
do
through
anything.
the ARC or it's the HDRB or however that would be. We're not usurping any power. We're just working under, and like Steven said, creating a programmatic agreement with the state, the ARC, however that may be, programmatic agreements with Tesuque Pueblo, programmatic agreements with the villages and so forth, right? As the city's expanding, we're annexing more land, we're growing and exponentially. But this
I'm
is
glad you mentioned state HPD, because
right.
City stuff with city people falls eventually under it.
Right, so the next conversation would be, is going to the state, SHPO and HPD and discussing our plan moving forward as well. So we're transparent with everybody because we're all involved in this.
Your general plan of trying to avoid single case monitoring plans can be completely handled by something we've already spoken about with Heather at length. Is the city contracting somebody to write a comprehensive monitoring plan? This is how thou shalt do it. And everybody who does monitoring will use that plan. Nobody needs to bring a plan to us. We just get the report.
We were talking about creating that. We see with this section, we can actually start creating these requests, because Steven's too busy out in the field and I'm too busy banging my head on my desk over there. So we can now focus on the real needs, creating survey templates like the programmatic agreement with monitoring plans, and so forth. That's really the goal, is to strengthen the city and our processes.
So how is this different than hiring 5 more people and putting 2 in public works and 2 in historic preservation? I mean, how is this different than just hiring more staff?
So eventually we're hoping in 2028, 2029, that fiscal year, we would hire 2 to 3 more archaeologists, and they would be solely dedicated to all city projects.
So how is what you're proposing different, other than bringing in outside expertise occasionally for an honorarium? What you really need is just more staff. Is that correct?
Yes, but we're also creating a program that other departments within the city can rely on. And so, yeah, the public utilities could just hire more archaeologists and we could do more work inside public utilities. but that doesn't help out anyone from streets. Streets still has to go out, put out an RFP,
But
get
you
a
could. I mean,
contractor.
but you could, right?
To be
now.
completely honest, at least for water, I think the need is so great that we'll do both.
Yeah.
We'll have me and Paul and the archaeological program doing that, and also other contractors also doing monitoring work. And those other contractors will probably still bring single case monitoring plans in front of the committee. But I think the grade, at least for water, is so great that in the next 5 years, we're gonna need several people in public utilities doing archaeology, plus several companies doing archaeology, and, you know, supporting all the other departments within the city as well. Because I know that a lot of those departments, it seems like they don't have any idea about the archaeological ordinances and stuff like that. You know, they're like, we're doing this project. And it's like, have you even considered this? And they're like, no. I mean, I talked to somebody, I think it was from Parks, and they were like, we're going to put a retention pond in French's Field. And I'm like, I don't think you're going to.
Right.
Because you haven't checked the boxes for compliance on that yet. And so this would bring, you know, communication between all those departments about their needs for archaeology as well.
And but theoretically, that should already be happening.
It doesn't.
It doesn't because
It doesn't, but theoretically. it
But there's
should
not.
be.
no, the way that it works now is that those individual departments are all in charge of procuring their own archaeological companies to do that work. And that creates kind of a, you know, kind of a siloed thing where everyone's doing their own thing, whereas it could all just fall under the umbrella of one archaeological section.
Yes.
And that's what you're trying to correct,
Yes,
really, is
yeah.
the siloization of archaeology among all the departments.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not just hiring new people, it's creating a new section.
It's a section.
Box. on
Yeah.
the organizational chart.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
box.
And making sure it all fits together instead of different colored checkers.
And
The left hand knowing what the right hand's doing.
Yes.
That's why, I'm asking why public utilities division versus land use.
Or the greatest need.
City of Santa Fe, why not? A division outside of any of those departments, right, on equal footing, so that it has some
Sure.
muscle, some meat to it.
I think at least for this beginning phase of our conceptualization, I think that public utilities has the most funding available to kind of support this
And the greatest need.
and the greatest
And
need.
the greatest need.
And
The
so,
need in the month.
yeah,
Well, just a word of advice, getting back to Member Bechtel's comment. We're not gonna be the ones who have to worry about this.
Right.
I would say that somebody along the line, even with the support of the division director, is gonna say, show me the hard numbers.
Right.
Yes.
Prove that this is cheaper than going out to contract.
That's great.
So,
I think at least with the public utilities department, because we do so much work with contractors, the directors are already like, we know how much it costs to do it through a
yeah, but
private
that's
company.
directors.
And
You're talking about going at least to the government body.
Right, yeah.
So another level up.
Sure.
Somebody along those lines, I would hope is gonna say, show me some numbers.
Yeah.
Because
Gosh,
adding
that's great.
FTEs is expensive, I'm sure, to the city of Santa Fe's payroll.
Yes. And that's why we are all doing 3, 4, 5 jobs each.
Exactly.
Right. And I
Yeah.
get that.
And before we even came up with this concept of this program, the water division has already been discussing for 2 or 3 years about hiring more people. So I mean,
Right.
like I said, the funding through the public utilities department, those would be people salaried under that division. And so that kind of,
Do you think that, I mean, I don't have any idea how many contract archaeologist companies there are in New Mexico. And how many you tap into regularly and what their lag time is before they can actually get to do something. Do you think that by doing this, you'll be able to move faster on some things, or is that not really a consideration? It's just more, get to things faster.
I think one
development.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think
great
for
question.
one thing, one of the problems, at least for the water division right now, is we're limited by the amount of people that are actually permitted for the downtown archaeological district. That number of people permitted gets smaller and smaller every year.
We did do that?
Yeah, and thankfully he was approved. And I know Ruckus well. He's a great archaeologist. And he'll do great work downtown. But yeah, I think it just helps us get stuff going faster. You know,
So how will, well, I mean, the people that you've mentioned to initially, they all have downtown capabilities.
Most of them do.
But I mean, at some point, we're gonna have to approve new people And where would those new people come from? Since, you know.
It would be the ruckus and it would be the other young archaeologists that want to work for the city for one. And want to do this work, right? City, local government, working here with the city is different than the CRM private sector firms. It's a little different, you know. And I would say Stephen and I are here because we want to be here.
Yeah, and I would say that this program is a pipeline for new city employees to get the experience needed to then apply for those permits.
But that's a great question. And the people that we were requesting, they're all authorities.
Yeah, they're all
the
right.
They're
advised,
not right. So they're not the field crew. Stephen and I will be the field crew, and hopefully get another 1 or 2 archaeologists to support that.
Right.
And
I'm just trying to think about, you know, because we don't want to create tension between what you want to do and the contract archaeologist. But, you know, it might be, you know, I mean, it's one thing, you know, you train somebody and then they think, oh, I can go off and do this, you know.
Right.
It's just like, you know, you hire a carpenter and 6 months later he's thinking, I'm a contractor, you know, and so he goes, you know, and he leaves and goes out and pounds nails somewhere. But you know, I hope that doesn't happen, but I hope that the contract archaeologist and your division will see some like a symbiotic relationship and helpful to each other rather than.
Thank you for sharing.
That they're taking our work away from us.
No, member Trees, I appreciate that because I was talking to Bill Huey about that, and I was talking to Jesse Roach, and I asked them, well, what if we up and leave now that we've got all this? And he's like, well, at least we established a good program, and we can build on that.
Yeah.
If we create something and build it and we do it correctly, then we have something to build on. Right now, we're just flying.
Yeah.
We're not doing it right, and we can do it right. But if they leave and go, that's fine. At least we have the program established and we can build on that.
Yeah.
So I thought about that and I was like, man, that's great. That's great because they're invested. And if they're invested, I'm invested. And if I'm invested, I know Stephen's invested. He's working on his degree. He's working on his accreditations. He's working at it, right? And we're all working at it. And I believe this group and this team, man, we couldn't ask for a better team.
Yeah.
And the ARC and you and the ARC, we couldn't ask for better guidance.
And also just working for the city in general, there's a lot of benefits that come with that don't come from working in the private sector. You know, pensions and all kinds of other things that people in the private sector want to have, but their companies don't offer and stuff. So it's really about being it's really about creating a program that's competitive for those people.
My experience also that city employees get excellent training.
Right.
On the job training.
Yeah.
Well, to establish that.
We haven't
Part of the reason-
preservation staff that I talked to in the last 35 years,
Gosh, yes.
right? So
Yes. I hope I
you're
fire.
welcome. Yeah.
I mean, it would make a good thing for college graduates, you know.
Right.
You know, somebody who wants to get field experience, you know, it'd be a great thing for UNM grads or, you know, ASU grads, UA grads, anything, you know, you put out. I think it's a good idea. I mean.
And I just, you know, just kind of a aside here, maybe not for the official record or whatever, but I have plenty of friends that do work in the private sector that I've talked to about, you know, working for the city, and they're all like, oh yeah, I would love to go work for the city instead of camping for 8 days for whatever CRM firm that I work for, and also have benefits and pension and healthcare and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's a competitive offer, at least for people that have
Which is
experience.
good because you're going to get all of it. We hope.
Yeah. Qualified applicants.
I would encourage you all to, I mean, this is all big picture stuff that involves a lot more than this committee. Maybe the next time we bring this up, have a little more focus on what you're actually asking about.
I think this was just dipping our toe in the water.
Just sharing a direction we're moving forward with the public utilities director. If you had any, I think you did show the hard numbers. that's key, right? Showing these directors, because they got budgets and the budgets guide their decision making.
Yeah, that's all they care.
And how can we actually do this? Well, how can we actually do this?
Yeah, of course, we would all love for you to have more staff, but
Right.
that's not our decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, Public Utilities has already been discussing for quite some time about having more staff because we have such a need for projects.
So for instance, this morning, I get a call from Heather. Oh, what's going on at 646 Old Santa Fe Trail? What do you mean? Okay, they're working on the Acequia. So I call Zoe Isaacson. She's a watershed manager. Zoe, what's going on over there? Oh, we're going to start working with this applicant, Daniel Strongwater, who's going to be doing some work on this. Well, hold on. Let's get Phil Bove. Let's get Mish involved. Let's get Eric Montoya, the Mayordomo, right? But see, then now for a couple of hours of my morning, I'm focused on this Acequia, right? The Acequia de los Pinos, the Acequia Madre. But that's not really, it is my job, but I got to do a whole nother 5 other jobs right now. And I don't have time because I got a DOT meeting or something else. And I got this and that. So trying to figure out, but with a section, qualified archaeologists, you can sit down and focus on this Acequia, right? And give it the care that it needs. So that's just our morning, right? Like, so we're.
Oh, I should tell you what my morning is. Paul.
No, but see, with the, with Stephen and I, we
Yeah.
can focus on our cultural resources correctly,
I
right?
love it. I
'Cause
love it.
We're neglecting them.
You raise a good point, though. I mean, I think the expectation of this committee would be that if you do get additional staff, that would cut down on the number of, oops, we didn't see that one coming.
It better.
Incidents, right?
It better, yeah.
Yeah.
And that the city is,
But there's some enforcement.
Accountable.
To just, that extra shovels in the ground, right?
and the city's accountable,
Yeah.
but thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for your,
Thank you. Glad y'all are, as they're trying to make it better,
well, yeah,
as we all are.
thank you, Stephen.
I wish you best luck on both of these things. Both good ideas.
And of course, the goal of the whole thing is to, aid in the overall cultural history of Santa Fe.
That's right.
That's
the goal. For our preservation.
Because like I said, a lot of the divisions have engineers and planners that are like, we're going to do this. And they never even think about cultural compliance or anything like that. And so, or the history of an area or its development or, so.
Thought about why they have a drainage problem on Letrado between the Rose Park and.
That's been an issue for a while.
There was an acequia there.
Hmm.
The water still wants to go there because that's why they put the acequia there. And geez.
Yeah.
Now we have an almost impassable low water crossing at the intersection of Letrado and Morelia.
Wow.
I haven't seen any lost car parts yet, but I've seen huge gouges in the new pavement and concrete.
Wow.
Cars flying through the low water crossing. That I'm loving it because I want the little SOBs with their hot cars to go someplace else.
I propose a ferry system for fee when the low water crossing is full of water to make the city more money.
There you go.
So anyhow.
Yeah.
Great.
I have another thing. We have the Easy Fiber coming back through the city and they are looking to not come to the ARC.
Yeah.
So the city departments, I'm meeting with Sean Moody and some of the other department leaders who all have concerns about Easy Fiber, getting any work permitted. They still got to go through the permitting process, but they're trying to neglect from coming here. I was told this by our city staff. And so I asked Mr. Moody if I can request an ARC member who would like to just sit in and possibly give, if that's something that the ARC would consider, sitting in a meeting like that, or I'm going to be in the meeting, and I'll just share with them that they need to meet all the requirements for the code section in order to get a great, any kind of construction.
Can I just say, for my own part, I have no interest in trying to explain to the city why they need to follow their own ordinance. However, if the city were to approve this Easy Fiber proposal without our input, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah, there's no reason to be having an archaeology committee at that point.
Right. An important consideration here is whether somebody has finally decided to share information and everybody knows that it is a federal undertaking or not.
As far as I know, Chair, it is a privately funded company out of Texas. That's all we know. It's privately funded.
They're still under state oversight because they're doing work on city property. So
state property too, some of those roads.
state property,
State right of ways.
so it's gonna be a state undertaking. They're just idiots if they don't talk to us.
Oh, gosh.
And
They don't want to talk to you because they know that their plans are so
They already.
crazy that they'll never get approved.
And this
No.
this doesn't have anything to do with me, this particular Easy Fiber thing, but I don't know if you guys know about like what's been going on with Easy Fiber in Albuquerque. I don't know if you get the news of that, but I shared some of that with Paul the other day. And there's like a moratorium for work in Albuquerque for Easy Fiber because they're working outside of normal business hours. They're not sticking to Albuquerque's compliance rules. So
Breaking.
easier than right.
Yeah. I'm pretty well.
they're running wild.
But that's secondary to our.
Right, of course.
Just all this archaeology.
Yeah.
now Without any oversight.
Right.
Right.
I just can't stand that.
And if we're not involved, proper oversight will not take place because no one else besides this body is in any position to make decisions about what is or isn't significant to the city of Santa Fe under its ordinance. Period. And I'm with him. If somebody somewhere weasels out of this, I'm done. I'm not here.
All city staff and all the department leaders that are leading this are in the conversation, all have concerns and are not in agreement. So we're sitting down with Easy Fiber here very soon, I think in the next week or two, to discuss with them and share with them everything they need to do in order. Now, I don't know who, they went to the governing body and they got approval for the need. However, they need to follow through the due processes. They're trying to go around outside of the archaeology and outside of some other departments with Sean Movie and streets. And they want to do some work on private lands because all the boxes have to go on the private landowners.
Then it's under our jurisdiction, nobody can say different.
Right. So we all have concerns. So I need to bring this up to you because it's going to happen here in the next week or two and just share with you that I did want to extend to the ARC, a member of the ARC could attend if you wanted to. But that's up to you.
To do what?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, other than to make the threat we've already made here in public on the record that we won't be around if you do this. I don't see another point. You guys are more than qualified to explain to the code.
Yeah.
It's your code.
And they were already here, weren't they? And didn't we tell them, oh, you're gonna have to do it street by street or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Smaller areas so that we can actually consider everything.
Yeah, for instance, I mean, they're proposing to do all of these pits and bores, which I suppose is what we allow, but we don't allow people to excavate those pits into known sites. And they're taking no consideration of where those things are going. They're not even checking to see if there is a known site there. And that just doesn't fly.
Right.
Absolutely. The committee gave them a path forward.
And we sat them down and walked them through it.
Yeah.
And one other thing with Pulte Homes at the Dos Acequias, did you all receive my Dos Acequias information I sent you? About the Acequia and Medio that kind of was
Oh, right.
obliterated?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We talked to the Pulte Homes director yesterday and they're gonna put signage. They just want us to create the signage, the information in the signage, present it for you and to the HDRB for approval, and then send it to them. And they'll put the signage right out along the Acequia.
And maybe a photograph of what it used to look like?
Yeah, yes. So,
And maybe change the name to Uno Acequias.
I'm all in favor of signage, but why can't we just re-excavate the ditch?
oh gosh, that project is a mess. It's a lake now. It's a huge concrete lake. And they're not getting their CO because they can't figure out how to drain it within 24
I,
so
danger.
it's a danger and it's a mess, and I think Pulte Homes is in a lawsuit now with Santa Fe Engineering, and there's a whole nother mess that's
Yeah.
going on. But
They need handrails all around it.
yes,
Yeah,
it's
it's
dangerous.
bad. No, I went over there after last time.
We had the city engineer on the meeting with Pulte Homes yesterday, and they said that they'll do whatever they need to do. They'll make a signage, to meet Mr. Richard Martinez's argument. He's been running in the trees, so we want to make it right.
Well, it seems like putting up a couple of signs to make us happy is a lot easier than figuring out how to drain on.
Yeah, no, that's different problem altogether. Yeah.
That's.
They still have to figure out how to drain it.
Right.
Just don't drain it through Anasakia. Right.
We don't get it through the essay.
But I don't think anybody in any part of the city authorized a stinking pond, you know?
No.
Yeah.
That's all staff has. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Matters from the committee. Anybody gonna go anywhere? Miss a meeting? Anything we need to
Next
bring up?
one, there's some stuff
20
for July for me.
24th of July is the meeting.
So
Maybe.
July 26th.
let me check that chair.
I have
The
to.
agenda says 24th.
The agenda says the,
Oh, that's Thursday.
I was looking at a HDRB agenda.
So, yeah, I should be here pending the outcome of this easy fiber thing in Croy.
Oh, gosh.
Well, it seemed like Courtney was, or leaving as well, if that got approved, she was pretty upset.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm upset. My hair's on fire. I think these guys are, well, we're still on the.
We're still on the record,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
I just think, you know, and I know they're going around soliciting neighborhoods, you know, saying, hey, get in on the ground floor. Give us $10 and we'll get you headed.
Investing in a project they don't have a permit
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
So if nobody has any matters to raise, and we all know that the next meeting is on the 24th of July, we're to item 11 on the agenda.
Yeah, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.